Hello, this is Wet Feet and I'm your host, Paige Barnes. Wet Feet highlights first-year student projects and gives them a platform to discuss their production process. I am joined by student Katie Mcelhattan. Her project is entitled The Class Project. Let's take a look.
I thought that Ole Miss was going to be the best kind of adventure. I started feeling like I wasn't belonging just in that first week. There's all sorts of events when you're a new freshman at a new school, and I would go to a lot of different events, and every person that I met that I tried to become friends with were the kind of people that I just didn't really want to be friends with, and that just made me feel really out of place. My parents had somewhat of an impact while I was up at Ole Miss. I would call them all the time, especially when I started feeling like I wasn't belonging, because my mom just would make me feel better about it and stuff. And my mom was always telling me, like, it'll get better, like, there are other people that feel that way, and eventually you'll make friends, it'll all fall into place. But I tried to keep up hope, but it really never clicked for me. She told us to choose a political issue that we felt strongly about and do a project on it. So it was kind of easy for me. It was just because it was something that was on my mind at the time. It was before gay marriage was made legal nationwide, and so I just decided to do my project on that. It was almost a no-brainer for me. I worked really hard on that presentation. I spent so much time in the library, online, researching the people who have fought for gay marriage to become legal in the United States. I put so much effort into it because at school I didn't have a lot of friends, so I didn't have much else to do besides focus on schoolwork. I feel like they were paying attention to each other's presentations, at least more than they paid attention to mine. I feel like at a certain point everybody just got tired about hearing about how we don't need gun control in America, so they all just kind of stopped caring at a certain point. During my presentation, I looked out and none of the other students were even remotely paying attention to what I was saying. And it made me feel not hurt, but just kind of annoyed, because when I looked out and I noticed that none of them were paying attention to my presentation, I got kind of angry because the entire time they had been doing their presentations on things I didn't even agree with them about. I listened, I listened and I paid attention and I was respectful, and they weren't even giving me the same amount of respect. The moment I walked out of that class and after that presentation had gone the way it had, it was kind of funny that everybody in the class had decided to do their project on the same topic except for me, but at the time it wasn't funny at all. I just thought, I really am not going to make friends here, and that's okay. They're not the kind of people I want to be friends with, so I don't need to be all beat up about it. And I just called my mom and I told her, I think it's time to rethink this decision. It was kind of a really clarifying moment for me in my life, because it made me realize that I don't have to become friends with people who I don't want to be friends with just to have friends. I can choose my friends. I know my worth. I know what I stand for and what's important to me. And that's just affected all my decisions since.
All right, wow, Katie, that was great. So let's discuss. At what point were you confident in your decision to switch schools?
It really was just after I did that project. I had been thinking about it a lot up until that point. I just was kind of, from that first week, I was just like, I just don't know if this is the right fit. I just felt really off about it. And after that project happened and everybody in that class did their project on something different than me, and it was just kind of this moment where I realized this isn't a place I'm gonna make a whole lot of friends, and if they are friends that I make, I'm not gonna enjoy my time being friends with them, and maybe this isn't the right fit for me. Maybe I need to take some time away from this and think about what I need to do. So it was really just after that project when I called my mom.
What other schools were you considering?
before Ole Miss, I was only considering like a couple different schools, all kind of big Southern schools like Ole Miss. But as soon as I got into Ole Miss, I just decided to go there because none of my other friends were going there, so it was kind of like a fresh start for me. But yeah, at the time I didn't really have any, when I decided that I was going to leave Ole Miss, I didn't really have any other ideas for what I was going to do school-wise.
Yeah. So then did you have any fears in making this decision?
Making the decision, I mean, yeah, it was kind of scary because it wasn't a thing a lot of people do. They, usually you're expected to go to college for those 4 years, graduate, start a life, kind of follow that plan. But for me to decide to like maybe take some time away from school or do an internship or something else, take a different path, it wasn't something I really knew anybody else doing. So it was just kind of scary for me. Like I didn't really know what I was going to do. I didn't have a path laid out in front of me where I was going to go next. I just kind of had to decide what I thought was right for me.
Yeah. How do you think your life would differ had you stayed at University of Mississippi?
Well, it's kind of funny to think that I probably would have graduated by now. Most of my friends have graduated. I would have graduated with a degree in English, which is obviously different from what I'm studying now. So I don't know what I would have done with an English major. I don't think I had a plan even when I decided to have an English major. So I think my life would be completely different. I don't know that I would have made very many friends at Ole Miss, and I don't think that I would be able to look back on my college experience in a happy way.
Yeah. What were some of the difficulties in visualizing a story like this?
It was kind of hard to visualize this story or put it into a project because, it has to be like a certain length of time and just a short amount of time. But it was kind of a big moment for me in my life, even though it may seem kind of like a silly story. It was a big decision that I had to make, and I wanted to convey the bigness of the decision. And how important it was for me, even though it's only like a 3-minute, 30-second project.
Were there certain moments that you wanted to highlight in this story?
Yeah, I think I wanted to highlight the moment that I called my mom, obviously, because that's kind of just the real turning point for me. I wanted to be able to kind of make a joke about the fact that all the other kids were kind of, disrespectful to me. And so my friend Hannah, she did the part where she played 3 different students, and I like that because I feel like it adds a little bit of humor to the project in what is otherwise kind of like a serious topic, I guess. So yeah.
In terms of production, what do you think went well, and then what do you think you would do differently?
I think that I conveyed this story well. I was happy with how it came across and just kind of that 3-act structure of the story. And I'm happy with what I said in my interview. I wish I had gotten probably more B-roll footage and worked on my editing skills a bit.
Well, thank you very much for sharing, Katie. And this is Wet Feet. I'm your host, Paige, and thank you for watching.